English Learning Podcast.
Listen, learn, and effortlessly enhance your English.
Welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Aisha, and today we're diving into a genuinely important and incredibly honest topic. Why am I struggling to learn English? If you've ever felt stuck, frustrated, or like your progress is just too slow, please know you are absolutely not alone. This is a common experience for many English language learners, even those at intermediate B1 to advanced C1 proficiency levels. Perhaps you've been dedicating months or even years to your studies, yet you still find yourself grappling with achieving speaking fluency or fully comprehending native English speakers in real-time conversations. In this episode, we're going to thoroughly explore the most common reasons why English learners often face these difficulties. We'll touch upon challenges like the fear of making mistakes, a lack of confidence in English communication, learning with outdated or ineffective methods, or simply not having enough real-life English practice. Beyond identifying these hurdles, we'll also delve into how your mindset, the development of effective daily habits, and even making small, consistent adjustments in your English learning routine can significantly help you move forward. So, if you're currently feeling stuck and pondering what might be hindering your progress, please stay with me. Today, we're going to unravel these issues together, and I'll provide you with practical, actionable tips that you can implement immediately to boost your language acquisition. Many dedicated English learners frequently ask me, Aisha, I study every single day. I read books. I diligently complete grammar exercises, but I still can't speak English well. Why is this happening? And honestly, that's a fantastic and insightful question. One primary reason could be that you're focusing too heavily on passive English learning. This means you're absorbing a lot of information through reading and listening, but you're not actively producing or utilizing English in your daily life. It's much like trying to learn how to swim by exclusively watching instructional videos. At some critical point, you simply have to immerse yourself in the water to truly learn. Another common pitfall is that many English language students concentrate solely on grammar rules. While English grammar is undeniably important and forms the backbone of the language, if your study is exclusively focused on grammar and you rarely practice speaking English or writing in English, your progress will inevitably feel sluggish and frustrating. It's absolutely okay to make mistakes. In fact, mistakes are crucial for learning. You don't need to speak perfect English from day one. Your primary goal should be to communicate your ideas clearly and effectively. Furthermore, a significant number of language learners tend to compare themselves to others. Perhaps your friend Clara seems to speak English much faster than you. Or maybe your colleague Ben mastered English in just 1 year, while it's taking you 3. Please don't worry about these comparisons. Everyone learns at their own unique pace, and comparing your journey to someone else's can be counterproductive to your language development. What's far more crucial is your persistence and consistency. If you cease your efforts because you feel your progress is slow, then you halt your growth entirely. However, if you continue practicing, even just a little bit every single day, you will undeniably get better. Let me share a compelling example with you. One of my students, David, used to consciously avoid speaking English because he was convinced his accent was bad. He harbored a deep fear that people would mock him. But when he finally took the brave step to start practicing with an online English tutor, he quickly discovered that most people simply wanted to understand him. They didn't care about his accent. Their primary concern was grasping the message he was attempting to convey. After just a few months of consistent practice, David's English speaking confidence soared dramatically. So, if you're currently feeling stuck, take a moment to honestly ask yourself, am I actively using English every day? Am I overly focused on grammar and consequently too afraid to make mistakes when I speak? Am I comparing my English learning journey too much to others? Recognizing these specific challenges is the essential first step toward overcoming them. And please don't worry, I'll be right here with you, guiding you every step of the way to help you resolve them and achieve your English fluency goals. Deeper dive: why English feels difficult. That's a really solid foundation to begin our discussion. Now, let's delve even deeper into why learning English can sometimes feel so difficult, even after you've dedicated a significant amount of time to studying. One substantial reason is that many learners lack a strong foundational understanding of how to practically apply what they've learned. What exactly does that mean for your English proficiency? It means you might have successfully memorized a wealth of English vocabulary and a myriad of grammar rules, but you haven't truly mastered how to integrate and use them effectively in real-life English conversations. For instance, perhaps you learned 10 new words this past week, such as solution, prefer, or comfortable, but you haven't yet used them in a sentence directly related to your own experiences or daily life. As a result, your brain doesn't truly solidify these words in your long-term memory. Learning individual words is one step, but actively using them in authentic, practical situations is what truly strengthens your English skills and moves you toward fluency. Another common reason individuals struggle with English language acquisition is that they haven't established a learning routine that genuinely works for them. Some learners might dedicate 3 intense hours on a Sunday to studying everything: grammar, vocabulary, reading comprehension, but then do nothing for the remainder of the week. This sporadic method isn't particularly effective for long-term retention and progress. It's far more beneficial to study for just 15 to 20 minutes consistently every day. When you engage with the language daily, your brain begins to naturally think in English. It's analogous to learning to ride a bicycle. If you only ride once a week, you might forget some of the muscle memory. But if you ride every day, your body instinctively remembers what to do. Additionally, a significant number of English learners don't practice speaking English out loud. They tend to focus exclusively on reading or listening. Speaking English can be daunting for many. You might feel nervous, or you might be afraid that people will laugh if you make a mistake. I completely understand that apprehension. However, the only truly effective way to improve your English speaking ability is to actually speak. Start by reading short English texts out loud. Then, try repeating simple phrases after a native speaker or audio recording. After that, you can gradually progress to speaking to yourself. For example, when you wake up, try articulating your morning plan in English. You can simply say, "Today, I will take a shower, eat breakfast, and then go to work." It sounds basic, but this consistent type of internal and external practice significantly helps in connecting your thoughts to spoken English. Another crucial reason people struggle with English learning is that they often neglect to review what they've learned. Perhaps you grasped a new grammar point today, like the past tense, and you understood it perfectly at that moment. But then, 2 weeks later, you find yourself forgetting it. This is a completely normal human brain function. Our brains tend to forget information if we don't revisit it regularly. Therefore, consistent reviewing is incredibly important for language retention. You can utilize tools like flashcards or concise notes to review English vocabulary. You could even maintain a small notebook specifically for new phrases, and check it every few days. This active review process significantly helps your brain retain the information for much longer, leading to better long-term English memory. Some learners also make the mistake of focusing too much on overly challenging materials. They operate under the assumption that if I watch something very difficult, I will learn faster. However, when the content is excessively difficult, you often don't comprehend enough of it. And that can quickly lead to feelings of boredom, frustration, or fatigue. It's far more effective to choose content that is just slightly above your current English proficiency level. This way, you understand the majority of it while still encountering and learning something new. This kind of progressive learning is not only more enjoyable, but also significantly more effective for sustainable English improvement. And let's certainly not overlook the impact of pressure. Many English learners feel an immense internal pressure to be perfect from the outset. They think, if I make a mistake, I'll sound stupid. But mistakes are an inherent and absolutely essential part of the language learning process. Even native English speakers occasionally make grammar mistakes or mispronounce words. What's truly paramount is your willingness to keep trying and not give up. For instance, my friend Clara was learning English, and initially, she always waited too long before responding to a question in conversation. She wanted to formulate the perfect sentence, but this habit often made conversations feel slow and awkward. Later, she wisely decided to simply speak, even if her sentences weren't perfectly structured. And guess what? People understood her, and her confidence in English blossomed remarkably. We also need to address the common fear of speaking with native English speakers. Many learners feel incredibly nervous because they perceive that native speakers speak too quickly. And yes, it's true that native English speakers sometimes speak at a rapid pace in natural conversation. However, the more you consistently listen to natural, unfiltered speech and dedicate time to daily English listening practice, the more your ears will become accustomed to the rhythm, intonation, and speed of the language. You can begin with short conversations, perhaps just 5 or 6 minutes long. Listen once to grasp the main idea, then listen again to catch more specific details. You can even practice shadowing, which involves repeating what they say out loud, either simultaneously or immediately after. This technique is remarkably effective for training both your English listening comprehension and your speaking skills. Boosting your English learning motivation. Now, let's shift our focus to an equally vital aspect: motivation for learning English. Some learners start with a strong burst of enthusiasm, but then experience a significant dip in motivation after just a few weeks. This too is completely normal. Learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint, and it inherently takes time. To sustain your efforts, you need to genuinely enjoy the process. So, try to connect English learning directly to aspects of your own life and your personal aspirations. 14. For example, try keeping a daily journal in English about your day, or practice talking about your personal goals in English. If your ultimate goal is to travel, you could articulate something like, I want to speak English well, so I can visit Canada or Australia and confidently converse with people. If your motivation is career-focused, you might say, I want to be able to write emails and speak to clients in English without feeling stressed or anxious. When you create these tangible links between English proficiency and your real-life objectives, the learning process becomes far more meaningful and less like a chore. Allow me to share another impactful example. My student Mark had been learning English for 2 years, but he felt his progress had completely stagnated. He explained that he watched numerous English learning videos and diligently followed many grammar lessons, but nothing seemed to change his overall ability. So, I inquired about his daily routine. He admitted that he only studied on weekends and never practiced speaking. We immediately adjusted his routine. He began practicing for just 20 minutes every single day. He started speaking out loud, reviewed old lessons, and even wrote short entries about his day in English. After just 2 months, he reported feeling significantly more confident and even bravely joined a local English-speaking group. This illustrates the immense power of small, consistent, daily English practice. Remember, it's absolutely okay to feel frustrated at times. It's okay to feel tired sometimes. But the most important thing is, don't give up. You are not alone in this journey. Many people around the world experience the same feelings and challenges. And the truly good news is, you absolutely can improve. You just need to cultivate the right habits and adopt effective strategies. Unlocking your English learning potential. Thank you for staying with me here on the English Learning Podcast community. I'm truly glad you're here today because this topic is one that many learners tend to avoid discussing. Yet it's one of the most critical aspects of language acquisition. Why am I struggling to learn English? This question transcends mere grammar rules or vocabulary acquisition. It's fundamentally about how you feel, how you think, and how you approach learning. Sometimes English learners feel stuck, not because they lack intelligence or capability, but because they are inadvertently using learning methods that simply don't align with their individual learning style. Everyone is unique. Some individuals learn best through auditory means, by listening. Some thrive through active speaking, and others require the kinesthetic process of writing things down to solidify information in their memory. So, a significant reason why you might be struggling could very well be that you're employing a method that doesn't effectively harness your natural learning strengths. Let's consider an illustrative example. My student, Sophia, used to study English by meticulously reading long articles every day. She genuinely believed this was helping her. However, when it came to actual speaking, she found herself unable to articulate more than a few basic sentences. She felt discouraged and confused. But when we shifted her approach to incorporate more speaking practice and engaging vocabulary games, she started making remarkable progress. She later told me she felt significantly more comfortable and even began confidently speaking with her co-workers in English. This clearly demonstrates that when you discover and utilize the right English learning method for you, your progress can accelerate dramatically. You need to identify what truly works for your unique learning style, rather than simply copying what someone else does. Another major reason many people struggle is that they think too much in their native language. Let me elaborate. When you attempt to express something in English, do you first formulate the thought in your own language, then mentally translate it into English, and then finally speak it? If your answer is yes, then this process might be significantly slowing you down. Your brain is performing too much unnecessary work. It's like taking a long winding road when a direct short path is readily available. What you can actively do to improve this is to practice thinking directly in English. It might sound challenging initially, but you can begin with simple, everyday observations. For example, look around your room and mentally articulate, "This is my chair. It is black. I sit here when I study." Or think, "I am hungry. I want to eat rice and vegetables." These are simple sentences, but the consistent habit of thinking in English will profoundly help you speak faster and more naturally over time. Overcoming fear and embracing mistakes. Let's also address the powerful role of fear. Fear is a substantial barrier that prevents many English learners from truly growing. You might feel afraid of saying something incorrectly, or you might fear that someone will laugh at you or immediately correct you. This fear can effectively paralyze you, stopping you from speaking, from joining a conversation, or even from attempting to practice. I want to tell you something with absolute clarity. Making mistakes is an intrinsic part of learning. Every single person makes mistakes, even native English speakers. If you are waiting to speak perfect English before you start practicing, you will honestly wait forever. You need to begin now, even if your English isn't perfect. My student, Ethan, was always remarkably quiet in class. He possessed a vast knowledge of English grammar, but he almost never spoke. When I asked him why, he simply said, "I don't want to sound silly." I explained to him that speaking, even imperfectly, is the only way to improve. We started practicing with very easy, low-pressure conversations. I asked him simple questions like, "What do you eat for breakfast?" and "What time do you go to work?" Slowly, he began answering, and week by week, his fear diminished. Today, he confidently participates in advanced English discussions. If Ethan can overcome his fear, you absolutely can too. The power of repetition and focused learning. Another reason English learners often feel weak in their abilities is because they forget new information too quickly. You might diligently learn something today, but in just 2 days, you find you cannot remember it. That's not a reflection of your intelligence. That's simply how the human brain functions. We naturally forget what we don't actively review. That is precisely why repetition is so important in language learning. You don't necessarily need to study brand new things every single day. Sometimes the most effective thing you can do is to consistently review what you've already learned. Read the same text again, listen to the same audio segment again, or repeat the same phrases multiple times. Each time you engage in this repetition, your brain becomes more comfortable with the information, solidifying it. Repetition is not boring. Repetition is incredibly powerful for language acquisition. Now, let's examine another common problem. Many English learners try to learn too much at once. They might open 10 different grammar tabs, attempt to learn 50 new words in a single day, or download numerous language learning apps. But then, they quickly feel overwhelmed, tired, and confused. Learning English is not a race. It is a gradual journey. You don't need to master everything in 1 week. It's far more effective to take small, consistent steps every day. Learn 5 new words. Practice 1 specific grammar rule. Read a short paragraph. Keep it simple and keep it steady. This consistent, manageable approach will yield greater long-term success in English. I had a student named Chloe who always tried to study everything simultaneously. After just 2 weeks, she felt utterly defeated and gave up. She said it was too hard. I advised her to relax and adopt a strategy of smaller, more manageable steps. She started studying for just 20 minutes each day and focused on only one topic at a time. After 3 months, she enthusiastically reported, "I feel so much better. I feel like I am finally learning." Her experience beautifully illustrates that small, consistent steps, true active practice, and clear goals. We also need to talk extensively about practice. You cannot learn to drive a car just by reading the owner's manual. You need to physically sit in the car and drive it. English learning is exactly the same. You cannot learn to speak English merely by reading books or passively watching videos. You need to actively speak, you need to write, and you need to listen and then respond. You must actively use the language. That is the fundamental way you truly grow and improve. Even if you make mistakes, prioritize using the language. For example, every night before bed, try writing 5 sentences about your day in English. Then, say those sentences out loud. This simple yet powerful exercise helps you connect your thoughts directly to the language you're learning. If you commit to doing this every day, you will undeniably see significant progress in your English. Fluency. Another factor that can make English learners feel stagnant is not having clear, defined goals. If your goal is simply learn English, that's too broad and abstract. It's difficult to measure progress when the target is so vague. Instead, try setting clear, small, and achievable goals. For instance, say, "This week I want to learn how to talk about my job in English," or "I want to confidently ask for help at a store in English." These are concrete, realistic goals. They help you stay focused and provide clear markers for when you are indeed making progress. My student Liam initially stated his goal was to speak fluently, but that was far too general. When we refined his goal to "I want to describe my daily routine in English," he felt significantly more focused. He worked diligently on that specific objective for 2 weeks, and when he successfully reached that goal, he felt a tremendous sense of accomplishment and happiness. He then set another achievable goal. This strategic approach made his English learning journey far more enjoyable and considerably less stressful. Community, self-correction, and support. Also, many English learners study alone, and they often feel bored or unmotivated over time. Try to find a language learning partner or join an English-speaking group. You can practice speaking with a friend or even confidently talk to yourself in the mirror. Speaking out loud helps your brain learn how to seamlessly move from thought to spoken word. If you don't have a speaking partner, that's perfectly fine. You can still record your own voice and then listen to it. This self-assessment helps you hear how you sound and allows you to identify and correct small mistakes in your pronunciation or phrasing. I want to remind you of something incredibly important. You are not bad at English. You are not weak. You are actively learning, and you are actively growing. Just because your progress feels slow today does not mean you will always feel this way. Every small step you take, no matter how insignificant it seems, is an integral part of your English learning journey. Every time you try, even when it feels challenging, you are undeniably moving forward. And remember, you are not alone in this. Countless English learners around the world experience the exact same feelings you do. But those who persist and keep going are the ones who ultimately succeed. So keep going, keep trying. You absolutely can do this. I believe in you. Staying consistent and building your English environment. Thank you for staying with me here on the English Learning Podcast community. I'm Aisha, and I truly appreciate that you are still listening. This tells me that you deeply care about your English, and you are serious about learning and improving. That, in itself, is something you should be incredibly proud of. Today, we're engaging in a deep exploration of the question, why am I struggling to learn English? Why do I feel stuck, confused, and tired when I study? Why is my English not improving, even though I try so hard? These are genuine, heartfelt questions that many English learners frequently ask themselves. You are not alone in experiencing these feelings. It doesn't matter if you are a complete beginner or an advanced intermediate learner. Everyone encounters difficult moments, and everyone has times when they feel like giving up. But I want to help you profoundly understand why these struggles occur and how you can face them step by step with calm patience and simple, actionable strategies. Let us begin by discussing your learning environment, the place where you live and the people around you can make a significant difference in your English acquisition. If you are living in a location where no one speaks English, it naturally becomes very challenging to get consistent practice. You may not hear English in your daily life, and you may not have frequent opportunities to speak English. You might primarily hear your native language, and this limitation can hinder your progress. It's not your fault. You are simply not consistently surrounded by the language you are striving to learn. This makes it harder to remember what you study and more difficult to use English spontaneously in real-life situations. I had a student named Alex who lived in a small town where virtually nobody spoke English. He studied diligently alone every day, but he felt like he was making no headway. We devised a simple, practical plan. He started listening to short English podcasts. During his morning commute, he practiced speaking out loud while walking. He intentionally used English words when writing his grocery list. These small, consistent changes helped him stay actively connected to the language. After just 2 months, he reported that he was thinking more readily in English. His reading speed improved, and his speaking became noticeably clearer. Even in an environment without native English speakers, you can consciously build your own immersive English learning environment, optimizing study habits and identifying weaknesses. Now, let's talk about your study habits. Many English learners are not utilizing their study time in the most effective way. You might truthfully say, "I study for 2 hours every day," but if you are not focused, or if you are simply watching random videos or reading materials you don't truly understand, that time might not be as productive as you think. It's not about how many hours you study. It's about how you use those hours. Quality is always more important than quantity when it comes to language learning. I once worked with a student named Olivia. She studied English for 4 intensive hours every weekend, but she consistently felt tired and bored, and she wasn't absorbing much. We fundamentally changed her plan. She began studying for just 30 minutes a day, but we deliberately chose topics she genuinely enjoyed, such as travel, food, and everyday life. We practiced with short, engaging reading and writing tasks. She immediately felt better, and her learning experience became much more enjoyable and productive. So the crucial lesson here is to create better English study habits, not necessarily longer ones. Find a routine that feels light, easy, and clear. That way, you will consistently keep going every day without feeling overwhelmed by pressure. Another significant reason people struggle is because they don't clearly understand their weak points in English. Perhaps you excel at reading, but you consistently have trouble with speaking. Or maybe you understand complex English grammar, but you struggle to apply it accurately in real conversations. Some learners erroneously believe they need to study everything at once, which inevitably creates stress and inefficiency. But if you pause and honestly ask yourself, what is my weakest skill in English right now? You can then strategically focus your energy in the right place for maximum impact. A student of mine, Maya, was excellent at listening. She could easily understand English podcasts and videos. However, she had considerable trouble with writing. Her sentences were often short and unclear. So, we dedicated 3 weeks solely to improving her writing. We practiced writing a short paragraph every day. After that concentrated effort, she could confidently write a full letter in English. Therefore, I strongly recommend that you identify your specific weak area and consistently work on it a little bit every day. Do not try to master everything simultaneously. Setting achievable goals and embracing your journey. We also need to thoroughly discuss your English learning goals. If your goal is too grand or vague, you might feel lost or overwhelmed. A broad goal like, "I want to be fluent in English," is too wide-ranging. It's hard to measure progress and hard to stay focused. Instead, make your goals small, clear, and highly achievable. For example, say, "This week, I want to learn how to describe my daily routine in English." Or, "This month, I want to practice making polite requests in English." These are tangible, realizable goals. They help you stay laser-focused, and when you successfully reach a goal, you feel a surge of happiness and accomplishment. That positive reinforcement gives you the crucial motivation to continue. A student named Leo once told me he felt like a failure because he couldn't speak fluently. I asked him, "What does fluently mean to you specifically?" He replied, "I don't know. I just want to talk like a native speaker." That goal was far too unclear and unrealistic in the short term. We rephrased it. His new goal was to have a 5-minute conversation with his English teacher without consulting notes. After 2 weeks of focused practice, he achieved it. He felt immensely proud, and a genuine smile lit up his face. That was concrete progress. You can achieve the same results if you set goals that are small, clear, and within reach. Avoiding comparison and cultivating discipline. Another common challenge many English learners face is comparing themselves to others. You might look at someone who speaks English better than you and feel discouraged or sad. You might think, "Why? Is she so good and I'm not?" Or, "He speaks so fast. I will never be like that." This kind of negative self-talk and comparison can severely harm your motivation and lead to feelings of giving up. But I want you to internalize this. Every English learner has a different story and a unique journey. Some people have more time to dedicate, some have more support systems, and some have simply been learning longer. You don't know the full context of what others are experiencing, so avoid comparing your journey to theirs. Instead, compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Look at your own personal growth, no matter how small. A student named Mia used to feel tearful after her English classes. She felt perpetually behind. But after she started consistently keeping a learning journal, she observed that 1 month ago, she couldn't even write a full paragraph. But now she could confidently write 2 pages. This visual evidence of her own progress helped her feel significantly better and more motivated. You should adopt the same practice. Write down your small wins, no matter how minor they seem. Celebrate them. You are truly doing better than you. Think, mindset, feedback, and holistic learning. Let's now address the topic of motivation. At the beginning of their journey, many learners feel incredibly excited. They buy books, watch videos, and feel hopeful about their progress. But after a few weeks, they often stop. They feel tired or bored. This is a completely normal ebb and flow of motivation. That is precisely why you should not depend only on motivation. You need to cultivate discipline. Discipline means you continue to study even when you don't feel like it. Discipline means you consistently follow your plan, even when it's not inherently fun. This is how genuine, sustainable English progress happens. My student Sam used to say, "I will study when I feel ready," but predictably, he never felt truly ready. So we created a structured plan. He committed to studying at the same time every evening, for just 20 minutes. After a month, he had successfully built a strong habit. Now he studies almost without thinking too much about it. The secret to consistent growth isn't waiting for the perfect moment. The secret is simply showing up every day and doing a little bit. We should also extensively discuss your mindset. Your mindset is the fundamental way you think about learning English. Some learners harbor negative self-beliefs. They might think, "I am bad at English." Or they say, "I am too old," or "I have a bad memory," or "My accent is terrible." These thoughts become self-imposed barriers that actively stop you from learning and progressing. I want you to consciously change your mindset. Say to yourself, I am learning. Say, I can improve. Say, mistakes help me grow. Your brain literally listens to your thoughts. If you repeatedly tell yourself you are weak, you will indeed feel weak. But if you tell yourself you are strong and capable, you will find unexpected strength and resilience. A student named Zara had a strong accent, and people unfortunately sometimes laughed at her. She felt deeply embarrassed, but she bravely started, telling herself, my accent shows my story. It's a part of who I am. She practiced diligently every day, and her confidence in speaking English grew exponentially. Today, she even confidently teaches English to beginners. You too can transform your story by intentionally changing your mindset. Also, let us not forget the profound importance of feedback. Many English learners study in isolation. They watch videos, read books, and use apps, but no one tells them if they are truly correct or if they are making consistent errors. This can be problematic because you might unknowingly keep making the same mistakes again and again, which solidifies incorrect patterns. That is precisely why obtaining constructive feedback on your English is so crucial. You can find a teacher, a tutor, a dedicated speaking partner, or even utilize online tools that provide automated corrections for your writing. Feedback helps you learn faster because it clearly shows you what specific areas to focus on and how to correct them. My student Ben used to write in English every day, but he never sought corrections or feedback. He genuinely thought he was doing well. When I reviewed his writing, I found many small recurring mistakes. We worked on them together, and after that targeted feedback, his writing became significantly better and more accurate. Feedback is your friend. It helps you grow faster. Do not be afraid of it. The holistic approach, health, and continuous growth. Let me now discuss something that is often overlooked in language learning. Your overall health and well-being. Your body and brain absolutely require sufficient rest, nutritious food, and adequate sleep to learn effectively. If you study for 5 hours without getting enough sleep, your brain will struggle to retain information. If you skip meals or constantly feel tired, you cannot focus optimally. Learning English isn't solely about books and videos. It's also profoundly about taking care of your physical body and mental well-being. Make sure you get enough sleep, drink plenty of water, eat healthy food, and take regular breaks. Going for a short walk can refresh your mind. These small holistic habits significantly support and enhance your English learning capabilities. A student named Leo used to study late into the night and frequently skip meals. He constantly felt exhausted, and his progress was agonizingly slow. When he adjusted his routine to include consistent rest, proper nutrition, and some exercise, he immediately felt better and started learning at a much faster pace. There is still more valuable information I want to share with you, and I will continue this discussion. But I want to remind you once again that your English learning journey is not wrong. It is simply unique to you. You are making more progress than you realize, even on challenging days. So, stay with me, and let's keep exploring how to master English together. The journey continues. Consistency and self-belief. Thank you again for continuing with me here on the English Learning Podcast community. I'm Aisha, and I'm genuinely glad that you're still here. This demonstrates that you deeply care about learning, and that is truly the most important prerequisite for success. If you are still listening to this, it shows that you are committed to improving, to understanding, and to growing your English skills. That dedication is the most powerful first step. Sometimes the most challenging part of language acquisition is simply staying consistent. But if you are still listening, then you are already firmly on the right path. Today, we are thoughtfully discussing the fundamental question: why am I struggling to learn English? This is not just a small question. It is a big and deeply personal one. It has many potential answers, depending on your individual life circumstances, your habits, your emotions, your goals, and even your past experiences. But it is also a question that virtually every single English learner asks themselves at some point. If you feel this way, please remember you are not alone. Many people feel stuck, even when they try incredibly hard. Many people study for years and still feel like their English isn't getting better. So, today, I want to go even deeper. I want to take more time to thoroughly discuss what might truly be holding you back, and, more importantly, how we can systematically fix it, step by step, with calm patience and simple, actionable strategies. Let me begin by revisiting the profound impact of fear. Fear is an emotion many English learners don't openly talk about, but it is very, very common. Some people are afraid to speak because they think they will sound silly or unintelligent. Some are afraid they will make a mistake, and others will laugh at them. Some are afraid that others will judge their accent negatively. This pervasive fear can effectively stop you from speaking. It can prevent you from joining a conversation, and it can even deter you from attempting to practice at all. I had a student named Liam who was exceptionally smart. He had read many English books and understood complex grammar, but he was always... When I asked him why, he quietly confided, "I'm afraid people will laugh at me." That deep-seated fear of judgment kept him silent, despite his knowledge. But we took the time to talk about it openly and honestly. I gently reminded him that making mistakes is an utterly normal and essential part of the language learning process. I stressed that even native English speakers sometimes make mistakes, whether it's a grammatical slip or a momentary fumble for words. Slowly but surely, he began to speak. At first, just short, tentative sentences, and then gradually, he progressed to longer, more confident expressions. He observed that no one laughed. Instead, people listened patiently and were kind. As a result, Liam's confidence in English blossomed remarkably. So, if you currently feel the grip of fear when it comes to speaking English, please remember this vital truth. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to be brave. Speak, even if you are nervous. Use simple words. Say something small. That is precisely how confidence in language learning grows and strengthens. Each small act of courage builds upon the last. The power of consistent. Review. Another significant reason many people struggle with English acquisition is that they do not consistently review what they learn. They might read a grammar rule once and then promptly forget it. They study new vocabulary one day and then never revisit it again. However, the human brain fundamentally needs repetition to remember and retain information. Learning something just one time is simply not enough for long-term memory retention. You need to repeatedly see it, hear it, and actively use it. You need to integrate it into a sentence, write it down, and say it out loud. That active engagement is how your brain truly solidifies the information, making it strong and accessible when you need it. I had a student named Chloe. She was diligently learning vocabulary for her office environment. She read many new words and confidently declared, "Now I know them." But predictably, 1 week later, she had forgotten most of them. We fundamentally changed her method. Every day, she selected 5 new words to actively review. She used them in a sentence, wrote them on a physical flashcard, and most importantly, she said them out loud multiple times. After just 3 weeks of this consistent, active review, she remembered them with remarkable ease. So, the powerful lesson here is this: review is not boring. Review is incredibly smart and efficient for language retention. The more frequently you revisit new information, the more deeply embedded it becomes in your memory. Achieving balance in English skills. Let us now shift our focus to the crucial concept of balance in English learning. Some learners tend to exclusively focus on one particular skill. Perhaps they only study English grammar, or maybe they only practice speaking English. However, English, like any language, encompasses many interconnected skills. You need listening comprehension, reading skills, writing ability, speaking fluency, a solid grasp of grammar, and a robust vocabulary. If you only practice one area, the others will inevitably become weak. It's akin to a table trying to stand on just one leg. It cannot stand strong or remain stable. You truly need all the legs, all the skills, to support your holistic language learning journey. A student named Daniel was exceptionally proficient at reading. He meticulously read English news articles and short stories every day. However, he struggled significantly with speaking. He couldn't effectively articulate what he had read or thought. His grammar knowledge was strong on paper, but his spoken output was slow and hesitant. We began incorporating short, focused speaking tasks into his daily routine. He recorded himself speaking for just 1 minute each day, discussing his day, his work, or answering a simple question. Initially, it was challenging and felt awkward, but after a few weeks, his spoken English showed noticeable improvement. His reading reinforced his vocabulary, and his speaking practice significantly enhanced his fluency. All the skills began to synergistically connect and support each other. So, strive to maintain a balanced practice routine. Dedicate time to each English skill, even if it's just a small amount each day. Redefining mindset and unlocking potential. I also want to revisit the concept of mindset, but in a deeper, more empowering way. Some English learners unfortunately believe they are simply not smart enough to learn English. Some lament, "My brain is too slow," or "I am too old to learn a new language." This kind of negative self-talk is not only untrue, but also incredibly unhelpful and self-sabotaging. Let me be clear. You are not too old and your brain is not too slow. Learning a language takes time, not an inherent talent. It requires patience, not overwhelming pressure. I had a student named Eleanor who was 65 years old. She sincerely stated, "I am too old to learn English now." But I firmly told her, "Your brain is still actively learning every single day, regardless of age." We practiced together consistently. She read simplified English children's stories. She listened to simple audio lessons, and she maintained a journal in English. After just 6 months, she could hold a basic but meaningful conversation in English. She was absolutely overjoyed. She exclaimed, "I never thought I could do this, but I did." You absolutely can do it too. The key is to stop telling yourself negative things. Stop saying, "I cannot." Instead, start saying, "I will try." That seemingly small shift in your internal dialogue will unleash immense power within you. Your thoughts truly matter. Your attitude profoundly shapes your English learning progress. The emotional landscape of learning. Let us now delve even deeper into the topic of emotions in language learning. Learning a language isn't solely about memory retention or grammatical rules. It is also profoundly about your feelings. If you consistently feel sad, tired, or lonely, it becomes incredibly difficult to focus and engage. If you feel immense pressure, Your mind may freeze, hindering your ability to recall or produce language. Many English learners experience a deep sense of shame when they cannot express something clearly in English, or they feel intensely embarrassed when someone corrects them. These heavy emotions can make the learning process significantly harder and more daunting. But I want to assure you that emotions are an inherent and normal part of the language acquisition process. It is absolutely okay to feel unsure, and it is okay to feel stuck at times. The critical thing is to not give up. A student named Mark once confided in me, "I feel terrible when I make mistakes. I feel like I am failing," but I gently reminded him, "Every mistake is a teacher. Every mistake helps you grow stronger and learn more effectively." We started a practice called My Learning Journal. Every day he would write down one mistake he made and what he learned from it. After a while, he felt much better. He genuinely saw that his mistakes were actively helping him improve. You can adopt the same strategy. If you feel sad or frustrated, write about it or talk to someone you trust about it. Tell yourself, "I am having a hard day, but I will keep going." This conscious affirmation will help your brain feel safer and more secure. And when your brain feels safe, it can learn much better. Maximizing small moments and managing pressure. We should also discuss the perception of time for English study. Many English learners believe they need to dedicate hours every single day to their studies. However, if you are busy with work, family responsibilities, or academic commitments, this expectation can feel utterly impossible to meet. This often leads to feelings of guilt, and guilt, unfortunately, can stop you from studying at all. But here is the truth. Small amounts of time are still good time for language learning. Even just 10 minutes a day is significantly better than nothing. You don't need to commit to grand, overwhelming study sessions. Focus on consistent, small, daily actions. I had a student named Simon who worked 12 hours a day. He emphatically stated, "I do not have time for English," but I gently asked him, "Can you commit to just 10 minutes a day?" He thoughtfully replied, "Yes, I think I can." He started by listening to a short English podcast during breakfast. Then, he began writing one sentence a day in a small notebook. Finally, he started reading one short paragraph before bed. After just 2 months, he was speaking more confidently and freely. He felt a genuine sense of pride in his progress. So, the key takeaway here is, do not wait for a perfect, large block of time. Start with what you have. Utilize your small available moments. They will consistently build your English skills day by day. There is also the significant issue of pressure. Some English learners feel an intense internal or external pressure to pass a specific test, like IELTS or TOEFL. They feel they must speak perfectly in a job interview, or they believe their entire future depends on their English proficiency. That kind of overwhelming pressure can make your mind freeze up. It shifts your focus. I had a student named Chloe who needed to pass the IELTS test. She studied incredibly hard, but on the test day, she was so consumed by nervousness that she completely forgot everything. She cried and exclaimed, "I am a failure." But I reassured her, "You are not a failure, Chloe. You are simply under immense pressure. Let us try again with a sense of calm." We practiced slow, relaxed lessons, focusing on building her confidence in English. Rather than succumbing to fear, she took the test again, and this time she passed with flying colors. So remember this. Pressure is not your friend in language learning. Try to learn with a sense of calm. Try to study with peace. Take regular breaks. Breathe deeply. You are not in a race. You are on a journey, and it is perfectly okay to go at a slow, steady pace. final encouragement, your journey continues. Thank you so much for spending this valuable time with me here on the English Learning Podcast community. I'm truly proud of you for listening, for thinking deeply about these concepts, and for staying with me through this entire episode. Remember, struggling to learn English does not mean you are failing. It simply means you are actively learning and growing. Every mistake, every moment of perceived slowness, and every small step forward is an integral part of your unique journey. Be kind to yourself. Keep going, even when it feels hard. Your English progress may feel slow today, but it will grow exponentially if you do not give up. Keep practicing, keep listening, and most of all, keep believing that you can do it. You are not alone in this. Countless learners share your experience. I'm Aisha, and I'll be here again next time to guide you, support you, and remind you that English fluency is absolutely possible for you. Take care, and I'll talk to you again soon on the English Learning Podcast.